Welcome everybody, this is Brandon from Galaxy Stock Market. Welcome all community members as well as those of you watching on X.com and YouTube. Alright, let's get started. Title simple. This is all about crypto, gold, and silver. It is a rocket ride ready to go, and we're going to talk about that. I hope you like this little picture that I have here. And this pretty much sums up the messaging that I have for everybody that's tuning in right now. And to stay strong, steadfast, and continue to accumulate. That is the message. Okay, so here's the disclaimer. Pause it, read it. For those of you outside of our community, if you agree, please move forward if you agree. And of course, thank you for everybody following me at X.com, Galaxy Stock Market, where we provide intraday commentary, some funny, some not so funny, but really great information that you may not get on these videos if you're watching us from X.com and YouTube. And please like and subscribe on YouTube. All right, so as the title states, crypto, gold, and silver. This is the one last washout before the rocket ride higher. You will not get any more opportunities between this week and part of next week for you to be able to accumulate gold, silver, and cryptocurrencies, especially XRP, which will be used to usher in a new monetary system. And all of this volatility, all this craziness from last week is the result of that being implemented. Trust me when I say this. The bankers, the cabal, the slam crew, whatever I affectionately call them, are shaking the trees, instilling maximum fear into the traders to usher you to continue to stay in the bond market and the stock market while they take your panic selling XRPs, Bitcoins, Litecoins, or whatever it is that you have that you're selling at wholesale. They're laughing all the way to the bank and putting it into their stockpile to one day, very soon, it will become unobtainium. So they're going to be selling you their ETF, which would be a proxy of what you would have held right now. Be firm. Don't fall into their games. Don't sell them your gold, crypto, and silver at these rock bottom prices. Okay. They just don't want you in the club, folks. All right. The only way to stay in the club is to fight maximum fear and understand that this is a manipulation and that this has been going on for centuries in Wall Street and in the finances. Okay. Here it is. This is the crypto fear gauge indicator. Buy the fear, folks. We're at 8. Extreme fear. You have to buy that fear. This is how they do it all the time. They shake the tree. The headlines are terrible. It seems like, Bitcoin, you know what that's all about. Okay. Maximum fear, folks. Okay. You will not get any more opportune time to accumulate or to start for those of you that's been on the sidelines. Okay, don't be that guy 2 to 3 months from now and saying that, you know what, now it's everything's much higher. I didn't buy it when it dipped. I should have bought it then. Don't play the coulda, woulda, shoulda game. This is what they want you to fear. They want the fear to be extreme. They want you to feel like the world is coming to an end, but they are your friends. And they are going to ask you, stay in the safety of the stock market. Look at it. Okay, while they print money to oblivion, rip you off through a constant inflation and loss of purchasing power by currency manipulation. And that's what's happening. Okay, I've always said that throughout the world, sovereign currency is a race to zero. It's whoever that can print as much money and devalue their currency and sop up as much asset as possible is going to win. And this is what's going on. Wake up and smell the roses, folks. So today's video, we're going to be talking about a few items in this in the news that we are going to kind of correlate how they're using this maximum fear and really try to put pieces together, because they really don't want you to put the pieces together. They just want you to panic and just be like lemmings let off of a cliff. Okay, and they're laughing all the way to the bank while you do this. First and foremost, Okay, this was yesterday. China declares full-scale crackdown on cryptocurrencies. Okay, this is the fear campaign. Okay, no legal recognition of crypto as money. Any crypto-related business is financial crime in China. Okay, why are they doing this? Partly because they are fighting the system, or they're basically in on it in terms of trying to create maximum fear in the crypto markets. Okay, so that you sell while they take it all up. Okay, now China hasn't been very friendly to Bitcoin. Okay, and especially with the recent revelations of the DOJ document release. You know what that is. I'm not going to say it here, but it starts with an E. Okay, and so I've always said that Bitcoin probably is a psyop, and that there is no real Satoshi Nakamoto, and that it was a front to normalize all of us into the concept of digital currency. And I believe the digital currency is the mark of the beast, but it's not the Bitcoin that's the mark of the beast. It's the other coin called XRP that eventually will become that, as that will be used to basically usher in the new digital currency backed by stable coins and hopefully backed by gold and silver. And I think that's the direction that everybody's taking. Okay. And then the other news that dropped was that Senator Loomis said that there won't be any type of a stable coin meeting until May. And then, of course, after saying that, they changed the tune, and now that meeting is scheduled for February 10th on Tuesday. Okay, and you saw a little bit of a V-shaped rebound. And we'll go over that crypto, but the fact that we had a V-shaped type of recovery after a historic just meltdown, okay? And for those of you, congratulations for holding through it. It means that you're awake and you know how the game is being played. But there's a lot of people that were highly leveraged. They got basically wiped out. Okay. And guess who takes them? The banks. And they're going to sell it back to you years from now in the form of an ETF, much in the same way as SPY, QQQ, right? You don't really own the S&P 500. You own a proxy of it, just like SLD, SLV, GLD, SILJ, SILJ, and all of those things are proxies that they want you in, where they can manipulate prices. They just don't want you to hold the real thing. Okay, so this is super important for you to understand. Okay, so those two things, I believe, along with the release of the Big E document by the DOJ, and that's basically what's triggering this fear. And it is manufactured. It is not an organic, crypto's going to go away tomorrow. They just want to shake the tree. They want you to be fearful and sell at these rock bottom prices, while the banks like BlackRock, JP Morgan Chase, evil. They are basically picking it up, laughing it all the way to the bank as they shake the tree of fear. You must buy the fear. You must think like them. You must understand that the world is not coming to an end. The fundamentals and the future prospects of cryptocurrencies is firmly entrenched. Okay? While they're creating these fear, they're buying it from you. All right? Same thing with gold and silver. Historic plunge, right? But it is to be expected. This is what the Silver Slam crew and Gold Slam crew does, right? But they're doing it at the cost of a massive rebound. They wind the spring back. It's coiled tightly now. And the rebound is going to be opposite and greater than what they've done. And it's coming shortly. Okay. Here's what they want you to believe, right? The blow off top, in gold and silver, and now finally Bitcoin and cryptos. Okay. They're instilling maximum fear. They want you to sell to them at these bargain prices because they are levered long. Believe it or not. Okay, think about all the ETFs that have come out. Think about all the talks about accumulation of gold and silver and Bitcoin and XRP. All that noise, when you condense it down, is that they have already put the rails in there. They are shaking it out because they don't want you holding this. Again, I repeat myself. They want you holding their XRP, Bitcoin, ETFs, right, which are proxies. They don't want you holding the real thing, just like gold and silver. Okay. By the way, there's no gold and silver in LBMA and COMEX vaults. They're set to run out or may have already run out, and hence this mega slam that they've done. And of course, we're going to talk about the charts, and I think we've recovered nicely. I believe we have a higher low forming off of the bottoms, and those of you that purchased it were able to find gold and silver at the bottom, physicals, okay. At this point, it's not about ounces per dollar. It's about how many ounces can you accumulate, just like in cryptos. It's not about what the price says right now. Those are all irrelevant in the next 2 to 3 months, maybe sooner, maybe next week. But can you hold through this fear campaign? Because this is going to determine whether you make generational wealth or that you're just going to become, just cannon fodder for these greedy banks. I call them the banksters for a reason. Okay, Bitcoin and cryptos are not safe. This is what they want you to believe. Only bonds and stocks are safe, okay? As we are at nosebleed levels, as we print money to oblivion, it is thought that we have printed and banks have been given liquidity injection to the tune of 1.5 trillion last week alone. COMEX and LBMA is working to protect investors, and this is why they are hiking margins. No, they're not. They're hiking margins and basically creating all of these stopgap measures at historical rate because the amount of paper that they printed exceeds 300 to 1, maybe 400 to 1 for every ounce of gold and silver that's available. Okay, and the problem is that people are lined up for delivery, and they just absolutely cannot deliver that. Okay, so the next thing they can do to obtain cheap shares, cheap ounces of gold and silver, is to create fear and create the retail sellout. Have you noticed if you try to buy, like for example, over the weekend, APMEX had some silver, American Eagles available in very limited quantities. They were about $16 over spot, so they're trading around like $90.27 per ounce. But if you were to sell to them, they're $5 below spot. At one point, gold and silver was at $70, so you would have sold them back to them at $65. And they're going to pocket this $18 above spot range at $90. Okay, they do not want you to accumulate it, and they're going to make you believe that having this type of a bid and ask spread in the physical market is going to convince you to stay in the stock market, buy the U.S. bond like a good citizen. Well, I say fight the machine, stay in the game, and look fear in the eye and laugh at it. Price action in physical market abroad are irrational and passing fad, and that the COMEX and LBMA is the arbiter of true price discovery, and that is absolutely not the truth. Okay, in the end, paper is going to lose to physical demand because the physical demand is what these derivatives are made from. And they just printed too much. Just like they're printing too much money to create the illusion alive that the fiat system is safe and effective as they continue to open up repo window, as they tell you that we're at 39 trillion in debt, and yet they print this like in a week. Close to $500 million to $1 trillion. Who knows what the real debt level is? The fiat system is dying, folks, and they are preparing for it, but they don't want you in that system. They want you in the control system of the current fiat system. They don't want you in gold or silver. They don't want you holding XRP, Bitcoin, or any of those things. Okay, don't fall victim to that. And they want you to believe that gold and silver are dangerous and unstable. How can it be a medium for currency if the price of gold fluctuates like this? That only gold dollar, the US dollar and the currency, the fiat money system is safe. They also want you to believe that banks are safe and they're your friends. Okay, they're going to give you loans when you don't want it, and they won't give you loans when you need it. Okay, banks are here to basically safeguard the fractional reserve banking system. Okay, they want you in there. They want you to feel that banks are safe, and they are not. Most banks right now, if they mark to market all their investments in 10-year treasury and all of the slam crew activity in the gold and silver, and now into other debt markets, including residential and commercial and subprime auto loans, banks are insolvent. Every one of them. Okay, if the Fed does not continue to print money and open up the repo facility, none of these banks eventually, all of them will fail, including JP Morgan Chase. Okay, so let's go and look at where we are in terms of the stock market. Okay, so let's do a real quick dive. This is the McClellan Summation Index. Okay, we have negative divergences galore everywhere coming down. Okay, we have still a negative divergence. We had a little blip up. We're going to be moving back down. We are at the terminal end. As Trump says that, Dow's going to go to 100,000. Those kind of statements come near the market tops. Okay, even if it does go to 100,000 by the end of his presidency, okay, that means that we would have printed money to oblivion, and that the only way to safely safeguard against inflation is to be in assets like gold, silver, and your cryptocurrencies, okay, and out of the fractional reserve banking system. But this is what's happening, okay? We have a negative downtrend. We have a little bit of a blip up here, but we're going to move up a little bit, okay, and then come back down. McClellan Summation Index is warning you that the market top is here, okay? Let's look at the JPY US dollar relationship. Okay, so right now the mechanism to manipulate this relationship down, if JPY breaks above this 100 SMA, I talked about this maybe 3 weeks ago, it's going to be game over. It's going to be Armageddon. Right now they've been successful in pushing things down. The question is that can they get it below here? Okay. And then we'll see, because, Japan is, basically their bonds and their yen is basically imploding. And so they are the largest holder of 10-year treasury, and they're dumping that to buy their own bonds back. It's a stopgap measure. In the end, fiat money system is dying, folks. All right. This is basically what I've been talking about for a long time, right, at this point. Here is silver. Okay. So everyone's calling this a blow-off top, but if you really look at it, and especially when we're coming down, we still have an uptrend. Okay, yes, we were kind of frothy at these levels, so it gave an opportunity for the slam crew to slam this thing down as we hit 122, almost 122.50, and here we are. Now this type of a doji formation, okay, this is kind of like a indecision, right? I don't know if we're going to go top or to the bottom. Found support right at the 20 SMA, okay? And now we have the 80 MA. Yes, it's curling down, and it may be contacting there. However, I believe we're ready to bounce back higher. I would not be at all surprised by probably the middle of February, before the February options expiration, that we take out this 122 level, possibly go much, much higher, because all they've created was poured rocket fuel onto the demand. Okay, you can only suppress prices for a while, especially in this circumstances, and we'll see if this nuclear slam is going to have equal and positive reaction higher, which I believe that's what's happening. So this is silver for you. Okay, but people are saying, well, Brandon, look at the MACD. Okay, it's you always preach about these histograms coming down. It's about to make a death hook here, right? I mean, but really, even if we came down, okay, making a death hook, and then we go right back up, because this is an artificially suppressed, market-driven dynamics based on supply and demand. This is complete manipulation that's happening, right? Gold's the same thing, right? I think gold looks a little bit healthier, don't you? Right? So we have gold. Yes, they slammed it down, and then we found support right at this level. This is basically what we talked about. And then, so now we have this bullish candle right here. Okay? Hammer reversal candle. What is gold telling you in relation to silver? Silver is bankers' worst nightmare. They're going to fight it tooth and nail, but it's going to move like Tesla in its old days right now. Okay, it's not because it's an unstable form of monetary system, because gold and silver is the historical money system. If the fiat system is not backed by gold and silver, what is it backed by? Promises that they got your best interest, while they laugh all the way to the bank and all the elites are becoming wealthy on your dime. Okay. Here's SPY. Okay. Continuing to churn, negative divergences galore. Okay. Indecision at the top, churning sideways. Okay. Moving averages are beginning to curl over. Okay. Look at this volume. Okay, while they hold it up, insiders are selling. MACD is negative. It's basically almost game over right now. Here's CCI, negative divergence. Stochastic, rolling over. PPOADX, okay, we're forming this type of formation. When you see this, this is bearish, all right? The only reason why it's up here is that they keep holding up the banks on the SPY. Let's look at COMEX, okay? COMEX basically is a subprime heaven along with Carvana. Okay, these subprime or used car dealers that write their own loans, okay, are in big trouble. Okay, again, rejecting off of this downtrend line, we broke down from this, rising wedge, falling wedge. I'm sorry, and then we fell down. All this is a dead cat bounce. We have now compression of the Bollinger Bands. Okay, we had this movement up. Trend changes coming on COMEX, folks. All right. For those of you watching X and YouTube, if you want to play this on options, not financial advice for you all. Okay, you do your own due diligence. You just got to buy enough time here, right? MACD histogram is stalling out. Okay, still looks fairly bullish, but here's the thing, right? We haven't even crossed over the zero level. This is a bearish territory. It's headed down, folks. All right, all right. Same thing with CCI. It's a negative downtrend. Okay, look at these relationships. Stochastics, however, is saying that, hey, we're getting the early signs. Here's a death cross right here from a very, very frothy levels. We're going to come back down. Okay, PPOADX. Look what's happening on the PPOADX, right? Yes, we had a bullish move, and then it basically did that dead cat bounce. We're now about to formulate this bearish formation on the PPOADX. Tesla. My oh my Tesla. A lot of you are thinking, well, it found support right at the bottom band of the Bollinger Band. We had some compression. Now it's basically opening up. That signal, the trend change, this uptrend is broken. We broke out of this triangle right here, right? This triangle. You see it? We're going to break down. So we might chop around here next week a little bit, but we're going to start moving back in to this area. This is that first target. Okay. I am, however, bullish on IonQ, which is, very, very important quantum computing company, hence the name, quantum computing. IonQ is very interesting because we're finding support at 100. This thing has been beaten down along with the cryptos and the gold and silver. And I believe that they're about to skyrocket. This is a tremendous opportunity, in my opinion. Okay, my opinion is that we are going to rocket higher. We're going to start taking out this 81 and we're going to move higher. Okay, we are near the bottom on everything. Look, and everybody looks at these, selling volume. Okay, and but that selling volume is diminishing as we speak. Okay, I think the worst is over for this stock. Okay, it's something that you want to pay attention to. Okay, we have MACD kind of at the extremes. Just kind of churning at these levels. Can we go even lower to here? But if you look at it, we have a little bit of a divergence forming. Okay, these are the absolute bottoms of the stock right now. For those of you that caught it at 30.67, I'm going to be proven in going forward, especially next week. I think we can take out these 43 to 46 level. Okay, especially if Trump keeps pumping the stock market. Okay, so for me, that's what we have. I wanted to go over some macroeconomic stuff. I think it just saves more time, and then I want to go over some crypto. Okay. So this is the demarcation line, this red dotted line. Okay, they keep supporting and bouncing the market from there, and we are in a range. For those of you that are saying that this market's going to keep going higher, we finished the day right at this area, made a lower high. Okay, that's ES. On the NQ, same thing. This green dotted line is where they're going to keep supporting this, and then this red dotted line up to here are going to be severe overhead resistance. Gold and silver, let's look at it. Okay, found support at this red dotted line. Silver went down, went below this red dotted line. These two double bar is a pretty strong resistance slash support area. We broke through there, okay, showing that it is highly manipulated. We have double bottom. Okay, we're making basically on gold higher lows, but silver looks like we're making a lower lows. Okay, but in the context of if you look at double bottom formation, these are very bullish double bottoms. We need to take this level out right here. Okay, once we do that, once we regain that 89.321, we thought we did at the, right after that smash last week, and then they pushed it back down. These are all hourly charts, by the way. Okay, we got to get over here. Then the big test will come back at retesting the 100, and I think we're gonna start seeing that next week. Okay, it's very important that you recognize that. What's happening with the dollar? This is kind of the demarcation line, 97.995. Okay, dollar is going higher as Trump wants to devalue the U.S. currency. It's moving higher because they are manipulating the markets right now. Okay, while the rest of the world are devaluing their currencies and basically accumulating asset, our U.S. dollar is going higher. Okay, and then after the FOMC announcement, look, all we've been doing on the 10-year yield, okay, hasn't come down. Inflation is not coming down. Your mortgages and your car loans, or your return on your CDs and savings, okay, it's just moving sideways at this point. Okay, we're just doing this. Okay, it has not reached the 38.5, 36.5 level that the Fed would like to have it at. Okay, Fed is toothless and basically in trouble. VIX. Okay, I think we're gonna have a lot of these up and down volatility spike as we continue to push up on we're getting higher, making higher highs, right? Once we get above this 23.1, we're gonna the volatility is gonna expand. Of course, they want to smash this VIX down so that they can manipulate ES higher. Okay, but VIX is not gonna stay put, given the current circumstances. See these two double dotted lines? Whenever we visit both of them, to me, that's an adding point. Okay, you got to buy enough time on these VIXs, however. Okay, so that's what we have for these guys. And then let's just look at a few things for cryptos. Okay, and I'm not going to spend too much time here, and then we'll go over some silver stuff too here. Well, cryptos has been taken out and shot twice last week, but that's a buying opportunity to me. Okay, let's go to the weekly chart. Oh boy. So basically, this is the breakout level. This is the level that would hold. Two primary levels that I was looking for is below $1.75 into the $1.25 range, and we got into there. But I'm hoping I may be the only guy that hopes that XRP can maybe come down into here. That's why we really are waiting for. We've been adding as a group, right, on the way down, because when it's on sale, you keep buying it. But this is the absolute bottom part. Okay, save this chart, folks, and use it for your reference. Bitcoin. Now, I do believe Bitcoin, it may be in trouble a little bit. Bitcoin has a lot more to fall. There really isn't, we basically are sitting slightly below this breakout, with this cup formation. I think we're going to start testing down into the 49,000, okay? And then all the way down to this breakout level, which is 32. If this level breaks, I would not be surprised if Bitcoin itself can hit somewhere between 28,000 to 12,000 level. Okay, that is a possibility. Or it could be very possible that we found support somewhat near this support level and move higher. But this is an ugly chart. Yes, very ugly, but it's a buying opportunity. The cheaper it gets, but you got to have some patience on Bitcoin. Okay, Bitcoin is no longer the big dog in the show. Okay, it is just a conduit for assets, to store value, so to speak. XRP is the one with utility. I call XRP the Bitcoin with utility. All right. Here's World Liberty. Okay. Not much history, but basically, when they first opened, they opened at 54 cents and they slammed this thing down. I'd be a additional buyer. We have this as a group, right? Some of you, anyways. Yeah, I'd be a buyer right down here on this. Okay. Yeah, that's about it. Yeah, Litecoin. Yeah, I like Litecoin. For whatever reason, I think Litecoin may have bottomed right here. Okay, and it's not showing a lot of the history here. So, regardless, okay, that's a nice reversal candle right here. These are coins. These are smart contract coins for microtransactions and anything else that's going on. Litecoin is a good coin. Okay, it's just not in favor a lot, but I do believe that they're going to have their time in the day. Real quick, I want to revisit that silver, because a lot of you are looking at this and freaking out a little bit. But I have a theory called fast in, fast out, and we're just basically testing this breakout level, right? We shot all the way below there, created maximum pain, but we're just right back above there. I think we're going to have an opposite and similar reaction coming forward. Okay? So basically, bottom line is, here's what they want you to believe, right? Banks are safe and gold, cryptos are dangerous. So this is, what we experienced in January 30th, when basically this sell-off began. That was just nothing but a month end. Well, I think this is going to end up being pretty prophetic, I believe. Okay. This is a slide from last week. Okay. I've been lamenting about the fact that cryptos hasn't fallen last week, and finally we got it. We got our... So anything below $1.65, $1.75, and especially below $1.65 on XRP is a buying opportunity. Generational buying opportunity. It's your last chance, because when the train leaves, you're going to be saying the same thing. Like these people, they're going to be lined up in a few years from now, maybe next year. I don't know. At $1,000, and you'll go, oh, boy, I wish I would have bought it at $1.65. Yeah, we're not going to nail the bottoms, okay? But if we revisit back down to the $1.25 one more time next week, one last flush, maybe $1.11, maybe even 95, 85 cents, you buy there, okay? And then you just lock it up, put it into your hardware wallet, and then just forget about it for a while. Okay? Be early, be prosperous, don't be the sheep. Your gold, silver, and cryptos are cheap right now. It's on sale. This is the final shakeout, folks. Something big is brewing, monetary shift. You can just feel it. I feel it. I feel that I don't know what the next shoe to drop is, but it's coming. Okay? It's just the markets are broken, folks. Okay, final shakeout and liftoff is coming next week. Okay? One more shakeout if we get it. If we don't, we continue to move higher. That's even better. But I think there's one more scary shakeout coming. If you haven't bought, this is the time to buy, folks. Last chance to accumulate. Banksters are. So here's the thing. 2008 level banks repo access. Okay, banks are insolvent. Silver and gold maximum fear campaign is in full bloom. Stock market at extreme risk. Okay, as Trump talks about 100,000 Dow Jones, but by the end of his presidency, but he's not talking about what's going to happen in between all that. Okay. They want your cryptos for cheap, and they don't want you in it, especially on XRP. So here's what we're watching for next week. Last manipulation for the fractional reserve banking era. Silver is becoming unobtainium. Even if they're available, the premiums are like sky high. In order to buy like the futures options, the bid and ask and IV percentages through the roof still. Okay, making it unobtainium. Silver slam will fail. Spring is now sprung and nuclear coiled. It's ready to go. Crypto's max fear. They don't want you in it. Last week I said $1.75 to $1.45. You buy up a storm. We overshot into $1.11. I think we can maybe shoot one more time. I'm hoping lower. Bitcoin, I said as a buy at last week, 65K to 45K. We hit that. Okay. I think we could go to 59K or lower. Volatility. You got to buy some VIX if you're concerned. And pan asset sell-off is coming, which means everything sell-off is coming. Okay, don't let the bullish sentiment fool you. Okay, so thank you so much for following me at Galaxy Doc Market. Follow us, like us, share us, subscribe on YouTube. All right, that's all I can say. If you want to work with me, email me here. Also click on the link in the description if you want to join our community at the entry level, which is essentials, watch list, market commentary, all of the information you need to take your trading to the next level. Otherwise, let's get some alpha. Victory or death, folks. Bye-bye.